Hi, my name is Holger Hornis. I'm the manager of Intelligent Systems at Pepperl+Fuchs. In this video, we will cover another configuration example for our safety controller. In this third example, we will configure a safety system utilizing an e-stop, a magnetic door switch, and an electronic light curtain. So again, with Simon Plus already running, we select the new icon from the toolbar. And when the information about monitor and bus window comes up, we need to put in some useful title. E-stop, door, and light curtain, for instance. Again, we select the proper hardware and then go over to the Basic Safety Monitor tab to configure the safety devices. Now there's a little bit of a change compared to the other examples so far provided. S1, S2, that contact set will be used for the e-stop. It's a dry contact, so that's a correct radio button here. S3, S4 is the contact set where the magnetic door switch will be connected, and S5, S6 will be utilized for the electronic light curtain. Now the electronic light curtain is not a dry contact device. It is an electronic output, and the radio button therefore needs to be moved over to this position. And as before, S7, S8 will be used as conventional input so that we have an easy means of resetting the e-stop. I will have both the magnetic door switch and the electronic light curtain on auto restart. Click off the checkbox down here and acknowledge by clicking on the OK button. First operation we will perform is selecting an output device. We will again utilize a stop category 0, an immediate shutdown, dragging this over here. And we call it motor 1. Because that output is connected to a motor contactor, and the motor contactor would then control the actual motor. Because this is used with OSSD 1, the output set 1, we need to make sure OSSD 1 is selected here. Next step is to add the safety devices. We'll start by adding the e-stop. And making that a dependent with filtering type so that we have a little bit of forgiveness in terms of stabilizing the contacts when they close up, and also synchronization. The e-stop is connected to the contact set S1, S2, so we'll check that. Furthermore, because we want the e-stop to be a resettable function that needs to be reset by virtue of an external input, we will click on local acknowledgement and then select from one of the two available inputs on the controller. In my case, I have connected a small button to contact set S72, and so I make sure that S72 is selected here, and then I click OK. Next thing I will add is a safety guard. That's the visual I like for the magnetic door switch. I drop it onto the global end, and I call it door. As before, as for the e-stop, I will use dependent with filtering, so I have the ability to correct some bounce and stabilization time. Now, because a door can close very, very slowly, therefore pulling in one contact much earlier than the second one, I will allow for infinite synchronization, and I will also bump up the stabilizing time a little bit, basically on the experience that magnet door switches tend to have a little more bounce. Once that's done, I click OK. I'll see here that I do not select local acknowledgement, mainly because I want this to be an auto resettable function. The last one we need to add is the light curtain, and for the light curtain we have this visual. Same as before, we drag it from the device library over to the configuration space. When the details windows shows up, we can give it a name. Now this is an electronic light curtain. Electronic light curtains should be configured as a forced device, and the reason is that they have perfect synchronicity and absolutely no bounds. They're electronic in nature. And by selecting forced here, you see that these timing parameters become unavailable. Makes no sense to set them because they are assumed to be zero bounds and immediate synchronization. Also, I will not check off local acknowledgement again because I want the light curtain to be auto resettable. So I hit OK. The last thing that needs to be added to the configuration is the startup. And because I have the reset function as part of the e-stop and I want everything else to be auto start, I select the automatic start device, dropping that over here. I don't rename it, name is okay with me. And with this on the screen, I'll click the configuration checker, and it comes back and says the configuration is okay. Now I can download, click on monitor on the drop-down menu, and select PC to monitor. This will again ask me for the password to get access to the controller. And when I click OK, the download process begins. Once the plain text log file has been received, I will then sign off by giving again my name and my password. And then when the validation process has completed, I'm asked if I want to go into protective operation, which I do. One more time, the configuration log is updated and loaded for review. We're not going to look at that. And as soon as it's done, just click it away. In diagnostics mode, we can see that all our inputs are green, indicating they're released. And as a consequence of all this, motor 1 has been started up. So let's check the operation. First thing is I will hit the e-stop, which will shut down motor 1. The e-stop is now red, which indicates it's in the safe state. If I release the e-stop, it turns yellow because I still need to activate my reset function, which is the button I connected to input S72. When I do that, the contactor pulls in and everything starts up. Let's check the magnetic door switch. I open the door, the motor shuts off. I close the door, the system starts automatically as we wanted it. And lastly, let's check the light curtain. If I interrupt the light curtain, the system shuts down. And if I restart, the system starts up again. This concludes the third example. I hope you found this configuration example helpful. Please watch our other videos discussing the Pepperl+Fuchs safety controller.